Before we get started, I accidentally forgot to turn off the autofocus feature on my recording app. I was kind of in a hurry when I recorded this and I just didn't think about it, and the video kind of sort of focuses in and out throughout the entire thing. I'm still trying to dial in some of the technical aspects of this production, particularly with the video and the lighting, so please be patient with me until I figure that out. All that to say, this conversation was way too good not to post. Thank you for the patience and the support. It should be dialed in by the next episode. Kingdom Hearts changed our lives. Like,
no hyperbole.
Yeah, thank you. I almost said it, but I was like, this is not the first take.
Yeah, this is where that nice quick cut happens.
So, Ian, just start by telling me, like, kind of your first introduction into Kingdom Hearts and, like, because you have a pretty extensive history with this game. It's like, it kind of led you to your wife.
My life.
Literally your
Everything
child
I have. Yeah.
and your life and your, just the way you operate and the way you view the world has kind of been rooted in Kingdom Hearts.
That is correct. I am an OG Kingdom Hearts player. I started playing it upon, not long after release. I don't want to say upon release because I didn't get it on release day in September 2002, whenever it came stateside. It's funny when you look at it in retrospect because Kingdom Hearts is such a like well-recognized franchise at this point. But it's like, it's known for like a lot of its isms that are kind of like funny, you know what I mean? That are almost like cheesy, like it's like light, darkness, friendship, and stuff like that.
That's not true.
Yeah, exactly. But like really a lot of those things are, they made up a really key like portion of like my personality and like kind of like things I would like that would kind of lead into deeper beliefs that I would espouse later in life.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like, everyone knows this, and I think the more common assessment of it on the surface level is, it's the air quotes, it's Final Fantasy and Disney, which when it's so much more than that, really.
It really is.
Yeah, but what's funny is like to speak to that cliche about the kind of one-dimensional observation about it, I do think it is kind of like the most pure and most absolute version of experiencing Disney. Like it's good that like you've already watched a lot of the films that are involved. Like, obviously, like, I'm not going to say watch the Kingdom Hearts version of the Pride Lands versus the Lion King, because those scenes are not very greatly reproduced within that game. Is
that turtle have a shield? And is it also a dog?
Yeah, no. And then Pete as a lion is maybe one of the most offensive things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
I like that we got here already in the first minute.
Yeah, so
but the point I'm getting at is basically just that like it's if you have the context for the Disney films already or the Disney properties, it kind of becomes this more pure experience of a lot of those characters, especially like the central ones like Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. Yeah. Like King Mickey is like, in my opinion, that is the canonical Mickey Mouse to me. You know what I mean?
It is to me too.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
The one that is not the crazy, goofy, capitalistic mouse of Disney. You know what I mean?
The one who absorbed The Simpsons. Yeah. So you also like met Kelsey through Kingdom Hearts. Yeah. And that kind of like became a huge pillar of y'all's relationship.
Yeah, so much so that you know this because you were at my wedding. It was the in a very tasteful way, not in a tacky way, because my family didn't really realize it. But it was the theme of our wedding, specifically Twilight Town, and we walked in with the Keyblades and everything like that. In 8th grade, I met my now wife, Kelsey, on the first day of school because shout out Kelly Wilkinson or Kelly Kane now, one of our best friends. It was Kelsey's best friend in middle school. She read a report, like, you know how you have to do those things in English class or like first day of school. They make you like, sometimes they'll be like, okay, write this thing about yourself and like share it with the class. Our English class made us do that. And it was this really awesome English teacher we had named Miss Austin, who was like kind of all about us expressing ourselves. Like she was my favorite teacher in 8th grade.
I have a story about that. When you finish this, I will.
Yeah. And so Kelly was very vocal, and we didn't even get through everybody, I remember, but she went up there and she was basically like, hey, I'm Kelly, and she's very outgoing, very like type A personality, which is why she and Kelsey complemented each other really well, because Kelsey is very like, unless you know her, very quiet and reserved. And so she's went on to talk about herself. She was like, I love video games and I love anime. My favorite video game is a game that came out this year. It's called Kingdom Hearts 2. And I was
Peak.
whoa, yeah, because this was 2000. I was in
It's
eighth
like
grade.
I feel seen.
I was in 8th grade in 2006, and it was like I was like. You know, like, and I had just come out of private school, so I was like, I was reconnecting with all these people at this middle school I would have gone to, but I didn't know a lot of people. So I was like, you can be my friend. And so I talked to her immediately after class, and I was like, dude, I love Kingdom Hearts 2. I was telling her, like, just nerding out with her. Yeah. And she was like, oh my God, you should meet my best friend. She loves Kingdom Hearts as well, who is also in our class. I just didn't notice her.
Right.
And I was like, oh, who? And she was like, oh, she's right here. And she pointed at Kelsey, and she was like, yeah, no, if you like Kingdom Hearts, anyway, you should talk to her. And I looked at Kelsey, and Kelsey was like standing there, first day of school, no hyperbole, wearing a white I Heart Naruto shirt and like a Konoha, what's it called, headband like around her neck.
That is so on brand.
And she was holding her like drawing bind, and I was like, hi. She's like, hi, I'm Kelsey. And I was like, this is really cool. She seems really cool. And so
the rest is history.
The rest is history. I talked her ear off about Kingdom Hearts until she decided to let me be her friend, and then we just made a bunch of like memes and inside jokes about it.
This matters. Yeah. I'm going to dilute all of that into Kingdom Hearts matters so much to you. And it's funny that you say that about school, because I don't think I've ever told you this story. We did like a writing exercise, and like it was like I want to say 3rd to 4th grade class or whatever. Yeah. And we had this teacher. His name was David Casciano.
Let's go.
And he was awesome. I loved that man. And I wrote a story. It didn't make sense. It was just word vomit.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really possess the writing skills that I needed to articulate it. But I specifically remember using the imagery of walking up a stained glass road because of Kingdom
the Station
Hearts.
of Awakening.
Yeah. So I'm gonna lead that. I'm gonna lead that into my experiences with Kingdom Hearts. My first game was Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which is a weird first start
on the GBA. Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool.
So that was weird. I mean, I love the GBA. I loved gaming, especially when I was really young. Like I started Pokemon Sapphire was like my first game. That was my first real video game. You know what I mean? And it kind of like set the trajectory for my life. Also, the way I grew up, like very TLDR, you know, I met a lot of friends through video games, and video games became a huge part of my identity.
Yeah. And for both of us, not just Kingdom Hearts, but like specifically franchises like Pokemon kind of like became like the centrifuge for like a lot of our communities. You know what I mean?
Yes,
that's the reality.
And also like my best relationships and friendships were born out of those games, and the most superficial ones as a kid, like, cause I grew up playing sports and I sucked at them. I hated it. I dropped out of band like half a semester into 6th grade because I didn't want kids to make fun of me.
Yeah.
I used to make gaming videos about like Pokemon and stuff like that. And I hid it. I didn't want anybody to know about it because I was ashamed of it. But when I was in like 2nd grade, there was this like gifted program, and we went to a different school or whatever. And I had a friend who also loved video games. He talked about like Pokemon Coliseum, and we talked about Paper Mario, like specifically The Thousand Year Door, which is my favorite Mario game. And just all that to say is like that led me to Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
And now that I've experienced Kingdom Hearts 2 is like one of my favorite games.
Same.
Top 3 even.
Yeah.
And
possibly my favorite video game of all time.
Oh yeah, it's so good. Like it's so awesome. And I mean, there are silly quirks to it. It's not perfect, but
it's also a little dated now.
It is, sure, but like it helped facilitate that creative part of me.
Yeah.
Right? Because I used to, you probably did this to some extent. I used to like cut out keyblades out of cardboard and pretend that I had them. Yeah. I made the cards from Chain of Memories.
I did too.
I like drew them out and cut them out. I would draw keyblades and like design my own.
Yeah. I love that we both done this. It's a universal experience.
Yeah, I know, so right? Cool. I would go outside and there were these like pieces of wood that you could get. They're like really thin cylindrical pieces of wood that you get at like Walmart.
Yeah.
It was roughly the same length of a keyblade.
Yeah.
I always imagined 36 inches was the length of a keyblade.
Right.
But also keyblades have specific lengths, and they are
especially in the first game, not to be such a like hyper specific nerd about it, but in the first game they abandoned this concept later, but there were 3 distinct different reaches that they had, and that would to determine like what the hitbox ratio was.
Yeah, and like your crit ratio, and like the Jungle King had like a low crit ratio but a long
fairy
reach.
harp Fairy Harbor's like the smallest little Keyblade.
Yeah, it was the smallest one, but it had the highest crit chance or something, or it had a high crit chance of like, or dealing a string of critical blows or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, but all that to say, and then it kind of led us to each other.
Yes.
Because I feel like that in like church life.
Yeah.
But
weirdly
also Kingdom Hearts and like all of these things, these nerdy things that we've been into, kind of like it strengthened the bond.
No,
of friendship.
quite literally.
And
I
that's
actually
what Kingdom Hearts is all
Yeah, no,
about.
that's what it does, and that's what it is. And also, like, it in no small way does it kind of inform, I think, like, it's like regardless of what you believe religiously, it informs like a general idea of like love and sacrifice and friendship and like what that actually looks like. Because it takes all of that series as a whole, and the way Tetsuya Nomura from Square Enix, the director and like the creative visionary behind Kingdom Hearts, what he developed with it, it's like he took the most true like spiritual aspects from the things that a lot of the Disney properties tend to like aren't be known for or like preach, but kind of get lost in like, again, what I would call like, not to sound like goofy, but like the capitalistic, like the weird thing that Disney as an enterprise has become when you actually like kind of like squeeze the juice out of it. You know what I mean?
Squeeze the means of production, Mickey.
I mean, like literally one of the first things Brooks and I ever did as friends, I joined him on his YouTube channel.
That was like
you can go back and watch this on his channel.
It's so awesome. Yeah, there's like one of our first collaborative. Efforts,
we did in 2022. We did our first stream of all of Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix. We started making weird abstractions of Goofy, which involve like several. There's like evangelical missionary Goofy, and there's communist Goofy.
There's specifically like one where he was in Deep Jungle and he was witnessing to Tarzan. So he died for our sins. Well, you see, God is actually 3 in 1.
Well, you see, there's substitutionary atonement, and then there's eternal conscious torment.
Sora,
but
eternal damnation. It's like, could you imagine? Could you imagine if like Sora, Donald, and Goofy they went to this world and it was just like they're like. This is so weird. But they're like walking through this like oasis or whatever, and like they're watching Jesus get baptized, and then the Heartless show up, and like they're
like, we have to save him.
We have to save him, and then
Goofy's like, wouldn't that be muddling?
And then Jesus casts like a like light or something like you know how
he stops them.
You know how Minnie does that? Like she casts light. It's like Jesus does something similar, and he's like,
he like knows they're trying to stop,
and then and like he speaks like perfect English
to them.
He's like, hey guys, my name's Jesus Christ.
My name is Yeshua of Nazareth.
And then Jesus joins the party, and you can swap him out for Donald.
The way things are going, we could get to like JoJo levels of ridiculous with this.
And then to put a nice little bow on this, in combat, Jesus gets hit by Heartless, and Goofy goes, Jesus!
No. Can you imagine Donald healing Jesus? Jesus!
This is contradiction.
I lost my. I didn't lose my train of thought, but I want to.
Donald goes, this doesn't feel right. What? And Donald gets angry. He goes, why can't he do it himself, the big palooka?
So the where I was going with that was basically what Tetsuya Nomura did with Kingdom Hearts that I think is kind of shaped us foundationally is it took a lot of like, it squeezed a lot of like the truth in the Disney properties out, and then combined that in a very real way with a narrative driven, even though people will love to like poke fun and poke holes in the plot of Kingdom Hearts and say things like, oh, it's convoluted, which is like such low hanging fruit to observe about the plot.
I agree
but where Final Fantasy and a lot of the projects that Tetsuya Nomura, and like Final Fantasy VII up until like recently, like for instance, like Kelsey and I are big Final Fantasy heads. We love 7 in particular. 7, I would have probably called for most of my life my favorite video game of all time. You know what I mean? So I'm not knocking Final Fantasy.
Very high concept.
Right. I'm not knocking Final Fantasy in the slightest. because it's again another one of Tetsuya Nomura's like big projects in general, like across multiple games. But where Kingdom Hearts excels, I think, is it takes a lot of the very narrative-driven focus of things from like Final Fantasy and makes them feel a little less murky.
Sure,
you know what I mean? Because Final Fantasy goes a lot, and depending on which story you're talking about, goes a lot of different places, and almost at times feels unresolved. And Kingdom Hearts takes this very like universal approach to things like
I agree
truth
with that.
and understanding like truth and love and sacrifice. It makes it digestible for all audiences.
It's like the purest form of those concepts where it's like love and friendship and selflessness and sacrifice and darkness.
And the narrative reflects that
like
too.
Trauma and struggle
like,
and identity.
Not spoiler alert. And like again, if I'm spoiling Kingdom Hearts 3 for you,
I'll put these big words right here.
Even in the end, after everything that's happened, Sora says to Xehanort that thing about like the true leader thing. A true leader, like I'm paraphrasing, but he says, understands that he can't control destiny. And then it cuts to Sora's face and he says, and he accepts that.
Yeah.
And then Xehanort can't deal with
that's
what Sora's...
You said JoJo earlier. That is the philosophy of JoJo's
literally.
Bizarre Adventure.
And it's like, and then beyond that, he fights Xehanort. He defeats Xehanort after everything that's happened in this whole saga and all the hurt that Xehanort's caused. And even though Xehanort does die and he is not like redeemed per se, you see that shot of Ericus with him like pulling him into the afterlife and he like and they smile at each other. And you see that basically like there's like this concept of like no one is beyond like redemption. No one's beyond saving. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that there's just the way it illustrates things is so cool. Like it's like, I don't know, it makes me want to cry.
But
awesome. Like even just the end of the first game, the Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, and Sora like dialogue tree, like right when you get back at the end of the world. You know what I mean? There's that whole there's that dialogue that happens that gets memed to death on the internet for good reason. I think that most things that become cliches or become memes are usually rooted in some kind of truth.
Well, like but it's SpongeBob,
exactly.
That still endures to this day.
And it's the take a look at this tiny place one.
Yeah.
And you remember he says like Ansem says to him, you know, he says, don't bother, you know, trying to cry out for Riku. He's like, your voice can no longer reach him where he is. His heart belongs. And then he says, all worlds begin in darkness, also end. The heart is no different. Darkness sprouts within it, grows, consumes it. Such is its nature. Yeah. In the end, every heart returns to the darkness whence it came. You see, darkness is the heart's true essence. That philosophy is a real philosophy in the world. Sora yells at him and says, that's not true. Yeah. The heart may be weak. Sometimes it may even give in, but I've learned that deep down there's a light that never goes out.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
And Ansem he goes over there, he says, so you've come this far and still you understand nothing. Those two dueling philosophies, and then Sora being right about Kingdom Hearts at the very end, that is like... That's like the core of my belief system, period. You know what I mean? That's who I am.
So it's
you
come
know what
full
I mean?
circle. I told you the title of this video was not wrong.
Yeah.
And I got the most right person for that. It's awesome. It's a beautiful game series. It's a beautiful thing.
It's very silly and at times quite stupid.
Yes, it's very flawed. And at a surface level, it's like, what the hell am I looking at?
I would even call the stupidity, like, there are flaws, you're right. But I'm saying, I would call the stupidity and silliness at some points not even a flaw, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of part of it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, so bad it's good.
Yeah,
the general concept of that, where it's like, this is silly, and it's good because it's silly.
Yes, exactly.
Like, just because something is quote unquote stupid or silly or whatever, that doesn't absolve its value.
No, Kelsey and I talk about that all the time. Yeah. So about that's kind of like one of the biggest merits of Kingdom Hearts is that it is such
it's memorable. It's like it stays with you.
It's such a high gravity franchise and story that is like it's when people make those dichotomy things of like, it'll show like the speech I just said from Ansem and it shows him, but it shows like the World of Chaos version of him with like, you know, he's like shirtless, has the metal pants and the dual bladed Soul Eater. And then the juxtaposition of like, is Goofy just seeing going, gorsh, that, you know, and that people are observing that as a joke.
Yeah.
And you can laugh at it as a joke, but also both as a humorous response and as a literal response, you can look at people making that dichotomy, like, this is Kingdom Hearts in a nutshell. You'd be like, Chad face. Yes. Exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's why it works.
That comic panel of Donald explaining in fine detail.
Oh, from the manga
why you can't meddle in other worlds.
Because you're meddling in other realities. Yeah. It's like you could because he says something about about how he's talking about how the different realities have different laws. Yeah. And he uses extreme insane vocabulary you can't imagine Tony Anselmo saying.
Yeah, it's like, unbelievable. So I'm gonna
the voice of Donald Duck.
Yeah, I'm gonna end this with Kingdom Hearts 4 got announced.
Oh yeah.
In the Nintendo Direct of all places, which is like the last place I ever thought it would ever be.
Let's be fair, and let's also give Square Enix a hard time at the same time.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts was announced 4 years ago.
It
was given an updated trailer and another now in development, which I feel like we have PTSD from that announcement at this after Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. It's rough.
But it was given an updated trailer and first look during the Nintendo Direct. Yeah, that was.
Let me ask you this: what are your expectations of Kingdom Hearts 4? Because I have my own. I want to hear what you think. Just very, very bullet point.
Okay. Are you now when you say expectations? Are you talking about?
I'll go first to kind of give you an idea.
Yeah.
I would like to know who the Master of Masters is.
I think I've been talking to you about this. Yes. Yeah.
I would like to, whether it resolves his arc or not. I feel like we at least need to know.
I feel like it's beginning an arc, but yes, go ahead. Sorry. Yes. Yeah.
So because I feel like, also it's like when you say beginning an arc, I agree. And I also, it's disheartening. Funny. But because if they don't finish a story, we have to wait another 500 years to get a new game. But if they do finish the story, I worry that they would rush it and it would be very convoluted.
Agreed.
And very almost trite in a way. Like it would be very underwhelming.
And I can validate some of those concerns too, just because we need to talk about it. So before I get to bullet point, I would like to point out that they did, for the first time in the history of the franchise, cancel an upcoming title.
Whoa.
Which was Missing Link. Do you remember that?
No.
Kingdom Hearts, to TLDR, Kingdom Hearts 4, when it was announced in parallel with another mobile title that was called Missing Link. And it's kind of in the same important storyline as Union Cross and Dark Road, which Road is like Xehanort's story.
Yes.
Which tied into Kingdom Hearts 3. And Missing Link was this the graphics were it was like playing a Kingdom Hearts console game on your phone. It was like Kingdom Hearts 3 level graphics and production.
Sure.
And it was in development. It was supposed to be 100 years before Kingdom Hearts 4. This will tie into it nicely. Some of the characters we've now seen in that second trailer are from Missing Link. And Missing Link had a whole beta that people have played, and I've watched it. You can find it on YouTube. I'll send you some of them. And as of late last year, a year and a half after its last update, it was formally canceled by Square Enix.
Wow.
And they're tying whatever they could into, even though it's 100 years before that.
Yeah.
They're tying whatever they can from those lost Keyblade wielders into the narrative of 4. And they're trying to basically save what they did with it as best they can. But it's incredibly disheartening because I think that, to your point, because of that, I think that maybe they might not try to go as long as they did, which you got to understand, the Xehanort saga, which has been the entire Kingdom Hearts saga up to this point, starting in 2002 up to 2019. That was like an experiment the whole time. You know what I mean? That was never from the beginning planned
because they just kind of added to it because if you look pre-Aqua Ventus Terra, that's old Xehanort. You see him with young Ericus.
Exactly.
And he's oh, this is a young guy.
Right, exactly.
And then you go back to the Union Cross stuff.
Yeah.
And you realize...
And Dark Road, which is his story. Yeah.
And then
during that time.
There's a bunch of characters that resemble people
or who ostensibly might be that Laurium and Relena are Marluxia and Larxene. They actually must have existed 100 years prior.
It's there are characters that are reminiscent.
Ventus too, and then Ventus himself is clearly from the past. He's actually probably over 100 years old.
So they there's these characters that mimic the organization members, which is interesting, but they're also these individual characters that existed just then and kind of facilitate that story up to a point.
Yeah.
So
I'm worried that could like muddy if not muddy it, that could it could go one of two ways, one being good, one being bad, of them trying to make a more concise narrative and hopefully not speed it up, but try to create a saga that isn't as long as the Xehanort saga, because they've pretty much explicitly stated Kingdom Hearts 4 is the beginning of what they call, like, I think it's the either the Dark Master or Lost Master saga. Like, that's like what it's called.
Yeah.
Like, and
is that like the Master of Masters master?
He is the master.
That's like the end all, because I'm like a little fuzzy on the lore.
He is implied to be the overarching antagonist, but it appears to be his apprentice Lushu, who we know as Xigbar, Braig, Bragi, who is one of, I don't know if you watched Dark Roader at all or not, which was,
I'm like vaguely familiar.
There was a different character who you find out is Lushu.
Yeah.
During Xehanort's childhood and his training with Ericus and in the Dark Road era. So so it's not 100 years before, but it's like 50 something years before that. Different character. He looks more like Lexius, but he does not exactly the same. But he was a character named Bragi who was one of his friends, and he like betrays one of the Keyblade wielders, and you learn that it's actually Lushu. Wow. And then he casts off that body too and goes to so Lushu's been moving crazy through the whole
there is a level of convolutedness to it.
It's pretty cool though. I mean, like the fact that it's
pretty sick, but it's also like,
it's hard to follow, but sometimes, but the fact that we know that like
the pre-birth by sleep stuff is a little tough to
it's like if you were with it from the beginning, it's a little easier, but if not, it is harder for newcomers. But that being said, to answer your initial question, my anticipations, not even predictions really, because there are plenty of people have predictions and some of them are valid, and my friend Chris Starner, shout out, made this prediction for a long time, and I used to be like, no, they would never do that. And now I'm starting to think they might. So I'll get predictions out of the way so I can go to my anticipations. But it's like obvious things, like people have been saying Star Wars forever. Honestly, at this point, probably probably is. I wouldn't be surprised.
The Death Star.
Yeah, no. Well, it's like a lot of people have observed the first Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer where there's like a shot of the creek and whatever, and there's those words on the screen before it cuts to Quadratum.
Yeah,
and you see what looks like very similarly, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist about this at all. I'm just observing this as fact, almost reluctantly. It looks like the foot of a downed AT-AT. It looks like Endor. The creek that you're looking at, if you look at it as, oh, that's Endor, it looks like Endor, which is crazy.
If I see Sora and Donald and Goofy
in
fight
Return of
Darth
the Jedi,
Vader,
no, it'll be. Which again, we're getting.
My brain's gonna melt.
But the thing is, at this point, we're post Mugen here. Like we're living in the world of Shaquille O'Neal's in Fortnite. You know what I mean? So it's like anything's possible now. I kind of like I'm at the point now where it's like even like Kelsey and I, unrelated. Kelsey and I are getting into Magic the Gathering again.
Yeah.
And we just ordered 2 commander decks that are both like Cloud and Aerith themed.
We need to play because I've been wanting to do that too.
Oh yeah, okay,
I have
perfect.
Like
but that's what I'm saying. It's like we're now playing a version of Magic that not only has Cloud, Aerith, Tifa, and Sephiroth, but my deck that I ordered has like Mary from Lord of the Rings. SpongeBob is in Magic the Gathering. You know what I mean?
Wait till I whip out my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle deck against your Cloud Strife deck.
That's what I'm saying. No, like literally, like Dwight Schrute is in Magic the Gathering. So Kingdom Hearts 4 having Star Wars in it, not the craziest thing in the world anymore.
No, it isn't.
So now, do I have a hard prediction about that? No. My anticipations are we learn who Lushu, quote unquote, actually is. I anticipate that he very well could be the Master of Masters, sending himself back in time.
Sure.
I anticipate that there's a version of this where I don't know how they would have to really, really go meta with this, but again, they've already done this kind of with 3 in terms of like the meta-ness of it and the Xehanort sending Younger himself back in time thing. It's entirely possible Sora is the Master of Masters, but it's a version of Sora that doesn't exist.
That would be unbelievable.
It's entirely possible. And then also, we've kind of gotten this more or less confirmed, but I anticipate we'll see more about Quadratum, which is essentially
That's
some
where
version.
Yozora's from, right?
It is, and it's essentially a version of our world, or it's like it's modeled after the same Shibuya that is in The World Ends With You.
Yes.
And we've already seen those characters in Dream Drop Distance.
Yes,
we know
we
they
have.
exist, and that they were in like a sleeping world that had been consumed. And so I think that because of what happened at the end of 3, again, spoilers if you don't know, Sora is essentially, for all intents and purposes, dead. And which is why Donald and Goofy are going to Hades of all people to try to see if, well, he knows the dead better than anybody, so we need to go to consult him. Riku and Kairi are looking for Sora. And I think the biggest proof we have of this, which I'm looking forward to getting I'm anticipating a full explanation of what the heck Quadratum is.
Yes.
Is besides the fact that Strelitzia is there, and she did die in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross.
Yes.
We have now, as of recently, seen a shot of young Xehanort holding up an umbrella over Sora in the rain in Quadratum. And why would and that's like, remember when Xehanort died in the cutscene I referenced earlier, and when Ericus took him up into the afterlife with him, they both, as a lot of people do in fiction, they reverted to kind of their younger selves. They're more timeless selves. And then at the end of 3, there was that cutscene of like Ericus like knocking the Abba and Adder, which is their chess game, aside. And he's like, I want to play a new game. So I have this feeling that Xehanort's agency, I don't think he's redeemed per se. He's dead. I think because they're all essentially in the afterworld, whatever that is, he's going to become like an ally, essentially.
That would be so sick.
It
because
seems
you almost
to be implied.
need that.
It seems to be implied.
That's very cool.
Because you have to think the Master of Masters and Lushu existed before Xehanort, and Lushu is a part of the reason, especially on the one-eyed Keyblade.
Right.
He's part of the reason Xehanort was set on his path from the beginning.
Right. And I don't even, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll wrap up. I don't think Xehanort was ever purely evil.
No, I think he's like many villains. He was misguided.
Yeah. When you beat him at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, he basically was like, all I ever wanted was just, this is what I wanted. His methods of getting there were objectively flawed.
Yeah.
Not even maybe.
He's like Anakin Skywalker.
Flawed. But like, he really, truly tried.
Yeah. And if you
and then you get like villains like, obviously like the Kingdom Hearts 1 villain, that's just the Heartless.
That's his Heartless. Yeah, or Xehanort's Heartless.
Xehanort's Heartless is a manifestation of darkness. And then the organization members, they didn't choose to exist.
No,
it's like
they're shadows of their former selves.
Yeah,
Xemnas is the most evil character in the whole thing, I would say.
Oh yeah,
and he developed a heart, which is crazy.
Yeah. So I would agree, but they kind of exist non-consensually.
Exactly.
But their existence sort of allows them to operate heartlessly.
Right.
And then Xemnas kind of sort of gets it.
Yes.
At the end, so even it shows that even these heartless beings. Based on what Sora said at the beginning, Kingdom Hearts is light.
Yeah.
They can develop.
Yeah.
Every being can develop light.
Yes, and empathy and love and awesome. Which is all encompassing within light.
I think it's awesome. The last thing I'll say is I cannot wait for Sora and Donald and Goofy to team up with Homer.
I know.
And defeat the heartless Mr. Burns.
The worst thing is that that's actually possible. That might have.
Homer gets hit by a Heartless. He goes, no!
Homer!
Homer!
If that were to happen, God forbid that ever happen, the most beautiful version of that audio won't even be the English one. It'll be the original Japanese Goofy shouting Homer.
It turns out Frank Grimes is actually like the villain of the entire Kingdom Hearts universe. He's God. Like, I hate Homer so much. I'm still thinking about that Homer shit.
Can I have that audio of you saying that? I just want to hear that.
And I think that's how we're going to end it.
Yeah. Perfect.